play if you're curious about it, or you can come and talk to me and we can spend the night going through numbers rather than drinking the meeting. But at this point, I'm going to hand over to Mike to talk through Toyota Connected.
Hi everyone. Oh, let me do my admin. It vibrated, so I assume it's on. I think there's nothing that says we're good like someone else saying it for you, which I think is probably why I'm here. I do have a bit of a bad back. My team have been joking about it for the last week. This is quite a big stage. The screen isn't very easy to see. Can everyone take one step forward? And then I feel a little bit less intimidated by this massive stage. I trust that you can see a bit more of the screen and it feels a little bit more personable. Project Maruka is the project that Toyota Connected Europe has been working on with Dataonomy. I'm going to go into a bit of detail about it, but I think it's more important. Am I clicking?
You can if you want.
Yeah, I'll click. It's okay. That's okay. I'll take it off you. It's probably a little bit nicer to get some context first. I've just said Toyota Connected Europe, and everyone's gone, oh yeah, Toyota. I say Toyota, you say great cars, manufacturing, just-in-time processes, efficiency. But I think not many people at the moment are saying a car is a computer produces tons of data, isn't that data valuable? That's where Toyota Connected as a group comes in. So we do report up into Toyota Motor Corporation, which is a great Japanese car company manufacturing the cars. But down on the ground, Toyota Connected Europe is a European entity of Toyota Connected Japan, who are responsible for what do we do with that data? Where do we store it? How do we store it? What should we do with it? How should we analyze it? What insights can we get from that data? Once we've done that, what products can we create that will help the continued goal of mobility for all for Toyota Motor Corporation? So that's kind of TCEU. So whenever I mention TCEU, you now go, oh yeah, my car's a computer. Yeah? And I hope everyone is driving a Toyota. Yes. Or a Lexus, yeah, thank you. By the way, Val, Rahul, these are my team members. So if I'm joking with them, I tried to rope them in, but they refused. So I mentioned Project Maruka. This is the project that we've been working on with Dataonomy. Before we even get into that, it's probably worth mentioning Krish did kind of lead into the fact that Toyota are quite big on their philosophies, the way we approach a problem, and the mentality of kind of business processes, in the same way that they've become so widely known for manufacturing efficiency. That is more of a mindset. And that mindset is kind of hammered into us. It's been hammered into me. I hammer it into my team. And one of the things that I think is worth mentioning before I even continue to talk about this is how we approach a problem. Because I think everyone in this room probably goes through that same process as well. And it kind of really helps me start to explain what we went through. So the methodology we're kind of hammered in with is start with where you are. What is your current situation? Kind of analyze what is currently happening. That is usually your problem, right? Most of us go, yeah, I've got a problem. And what's quite common, and it took me a long time to get used to, is quite common, you get faced with a problem and you go, yeah, I have a solution. Yeah? Problem comes with a solution. Now someone please kind of build with me this problem, build with me this solution, right? But what we've missed is a lot of context, we've missed a lot of background, and we've missed a lot of explaining that journey from where we are to where we want to be. So what we're kind of hammered home with at Toyota is first explain the context of the situation. What is your business doing? Where does it want to go? What does it want to achieve? And where are you currently, and why is that a problem? Once you've done that, everyone will fully understand what's happening, and then you tell them where you want to be in the future. What is the ideal situation? Once you've thought about the ideal situation, you're left with this gap between the two, which is usually your problem, right? I don't know how to close this gap. Then from that, I don't know how to close this gap, you present a solution. So that methodology is kind of hammered into us at Toyota Connected and at Toyota in general. So we started with our problem statement or our current situation, which, although we are a startup and we're into this fancy technology and it's data and cars are computers and not these old-fashioned things anymore, we still have the same problems that every company has. Too many disjointed business processes. everyone's doing a process, but they don't really interlink, and we're all trying to make decisions at the end of them, and finance is saying this, and commercial is saying that, and we're like, which one do we believe? And it creates what we call Muda. Muda is rubbish, it's waste, it's stuff we do not want in the business. Muda usually leads to, or in this case, particularly with disjointed processes, leads to really bad decision making. Finance have told you one thing because their process runs like this and they produce this outcome. Commercial are telling you something else. How does anyone on our senior leadership team make a good decision? It's impossible. You're almost just picking and choosing which is the right way to go. Lastly, the biggest problem statement we had, all these processes going on, and I think this is quite common in a lot of businesses, process here, process there, process here, data in each one. We can't see any of it. We don't have visibility of any of these problems, these processes, or the data behind it. So that was where we were, right? And we understood that. We are the experts in understanding our own problem. Dataonomy didn't come in and tell us you have a problem. We then said, okay, where do we want to be? It doesn't matter how we get there, but where do we want to be? And we said to ourselves, well, we want to centralize all these processes. We want to centralize all that data. And we kind of want to do it in-house. There's nothing on the shelf out there that we want to buy that is solving all these problems. We did research, we couldn't find anything. We need an in-house solution that solves all of these problems, and we want to be able to visualize it. We couldn't do that. We knew we wanted to get there, but we had no idea how to close the gap. Obviously, Krish and I and Nish worked in a company previously. I knew what they were doing. I reached out to them and said, do you want to have a workshop, understand our problem? It's an opportunity to understand if you can help solve it. And they stepped in. We had a good workshop. And we came out with something that you will not be able to see from where you're standing. And I don't expect you to read it because it just doesn't matter. But we came out with a solution. This solution is a simplified version of what was eventually built. But this solution involves all of the O365 toolkit. I'm probably doing Nish a disjustice when I start to say it has Power Apps and Power BI, and it has some process flow thingies that I don't quite understand. I think Val understands them more than I do. But it is an all-encompassing business process visualization tool that we call Maruka. Maruka stands for visualization. And what this does for us is it solves budget management. So we're a project-based company. The work we do is all project-based. So we need to understand who's working on those projects, how they do, what their forecast is going to be, all of this standard stuff. We need to understand that. It does that for us. Great. Everyone has a single source of truth over what each project is doing. Anyone that works in a consultancy-based business, what do you do once somebody's working on a project? You submit time to it. Right? If our timesheet process was separate, we had all sorts of problems going, oh, a budget for a project has started over here. Finance said it has started. Commercial have said it started. But the timesheet system doesn't have that project in it, so I can't submit time to it. So it doesn't work. Or this project is closed now, but I'm still submitting time to it. Oh, now I'm allocating costs to it. Ah, horrible. So all encompassing. You create a budget, it leads to a timesheet, and it closes and completes. From there, we can do what every accountant does. I should have mentioned I am also an accountant. We can do all sorts of reporting. What is actually happening? What did we plan to happen? Yeah, it's kind of quite a simple flow we've now got going, but it's all in one tool, and it all works really well for us. But we didn't stop there. No, there was more we could do. So we just kept going. Now, why do we onboard resource into our business? Because we have a need for it. Why do we have a need for it? Because there is a customer wanting to do something we call a project, and we need someone to do it, and there's no one that exists in the business to do it because we've already budgeted it out and there's no one that can do that work. So why not just continue the flow? You submit a budget and there's room to employ somebody and everyone says, yeah, we need to do it. And it just flows all the way through the HR process. Oh, it's amazing. Because then at the end, that person just goes straight back in and can submit timesheets, and there's no need to fiddle with another system. From there, you can also offboard a resource. We do a lot of contracting, a lot of outsourcing work. When the project ends, the quicker we offboard that contracted work, the more efficient it is for spend management, of course. So why not just offboard when the project finishes? Great, works for procurement. I'm pointing at Rahul because he manages procurement. And then lastly, procurement feeds a lot of their processes through everything on the screen here. When we're onboarding somebody, if it's from a vendor, if they're a contract or an outsource, we have to have a contract with them. We have to understand, procurement needs to understand if it's been approved by the business, whether it's the appropriate spend, whether we've planned for that spend. Great, it's all in one system. Job done. When the invoice comes through, what do we usually check when somebody sends us an invoice that's related to time? Oh, we check their timesheet, all in the same system. So what Dataonomy helped us do is go from a problem and a current situation we were in to this ideal state that we knew should exist, but we had no idea how to get there. They came and closed that gap. And I think the next slide. I think, as was presented previously, no good presentation doesn't come with some statistics, right? You've told me you've produced this amazing thing that I don't quite understand that solved all your problems. Prove it. We can. So we did a bit of analysis. Maruka was implemented at the back end of 2023. At that point in time, we had 3.5 million of cost in the business that we didn't quite understand what it was doing. We didn't understand what it was working on, why it was there, where should we put it, where was it budgeted, should it even exist. Management were having a massive headache trying to figure out what to do with that cost. It's now only 0.3, which in my opinion still isn't good enough, but my God, it's a 91% improvement in just 2 years. Whoa. Next is the completion of timesheets. We're a young business. Everybody hates completing their timesheet. It's our bane of our lives. Val's laughing at me because she's responsible for managing those KPIs, how much time has been submitted. It affects payment processes. It affects reporting. It affects everything we do if those timesheets are not in on time. But everyone hates doing them, right? So because we've created this system that makes it so easy to do, our timesheet completion rate has gone up from 55% to 95% on time, right? Of course, 100% people submit their timesheets eventually. We still have those few stragglers that Val is working on hitting them into shape. But again, we've upped that timesheet completion by 72%, which from a business impact perspective is just, it's quite literally phenomenal in our case because it helps everything we do. And then last is, again, it's just a really good perspective on when you implement a good solution and get rid of the Muda, it should genuinely reduce the amount of work you have to do. So back in 2023, we had 3 people managing the process of somebody has submitted time, here is an invoice, should we pay that invoice? We had 3 people managing that. We now have 0.3 of a person. I mean, if that doesn't say efficiency within the process, I don't know what does. 85% reduction, smash, loved it, thank you very much.